What I do have at this point, who has volunteered full, in fact, I asked him 2 or 3 times to come on as the under sheriff, and he said no, but he volunteers that he will give me full support with his retired police chief from Dogwood, who is very involved in building communities, and he has a lot of contact within the community. So he and I will be going through organizational charts, priorities, and setting up with the communities to see what the communities need. Is this, as far as a specific policy or procedure right now? No, I don't know. The big thing, one of the 2 things I want to do early on, I want to find the money, force the money, whatever, to bring in a professional survey team to send surveys throughout the entire county. Excuse me, I'm starting to get dry on that. We want to know what the people's fears are, what their concerns, what are their impressions, what's their understanding of the sheriff's office. There's some way to quantify it. So we can do that again every 6 months to see if we're getting better. That'd be a real cool idea. And then to form like citizens advisory boards, to bring them in, to find out what it is that you need from your law enforcement. Not us telling you, here's what's coming. What do you want? And then let you know what we can actually do legally with what's possible for us to do. Because sometimes there's expectations that really are outside of our possibility, of our abilities. But we need a dialogue, and that's the best way I can answer that one.
Thank you. I have a question.
Okay.
I know you mentioned that maybe you haven't had the time to detail any specific policies, but I guess what is your philosophy on helping local law enforcement overcome language barriers? I think there's a huge deficit of Spanish speaking and other languages. That we have a growing Burmese population. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious if you have put any thought around how are you going to help our law enforcement agencies overcome those language barriers.
Are you trying to make me blush and say, I haven't thought about one yet? I realize the language issue. How to actually address that, I hadn't gotten to that point yet. But a really good idea. And I like what I got from Mr. Fitzpatrick. He was talking about, let's redo this, and here's on our 6-year plan. And one of the things was, when we get them into here, let's put some classes and give them training to move up to help enrich the job so they're more effective in it. And language would be a beautiful way to do that. Here's your language. Here's the Hispanic. Here's let's say one of the languages, the Chinese languages. I had high school Spanish and my college Spanish, and it's all gone really rusty. But it's coming up. And I did study it for a while. I was pretty fluent in Arabic, but that's now gotten rusty too. That's kind of embarrassing. But that's it. And then get them interacting with those communities like any language. If it's not used, it goes rusty and you lose it. So make sure they're interacting with those communities. But that's a good question. Sorry, I hadn't thought of that one.
I would expand on it since you already touched that. So I had my notes over here. As an interpreter, I have seen a lot of irregularities in the interpreting, either because the officers don't know enough Spanish in this case, or they have an unqualified interpreter, and a person can get charged with a DUI when all that person had was depressed because the mother just died that day, and because of the language barrier, he couldn't tell them, and so it really is something to be aware of it. Since you say you were not thought about it, and really thinking about a solution, because not only the Spanish, but we're the biggest minority, but Burmese is another one and some other ones. So there is a lot of miscommunication and a lot of mischarge. I work a case with the person, the interpreter said, I checked the baby, and actually what the defendant said, it was, I rocked the baby. So, the difference between shake and rock is a big difference. So that that happens a lot. So that's something that I would, like she said, I think it would be good if you could expand on that.
And I agree with that with my rather limited experience with languages, but as you're aware, a lot of words are contextual. And what is used over here, when you translate it, it doesn't quite fit in over here. And, you know, that can be a challenge. One of the things I would really like to do is Tulsa, TCC has, Tulsa Achieves, is to see us going out into the communities and recruiting people for those skills while they're in high school. Encourage them to stay in school. So, and then say, okay, hey, let's see if we can channel you towards law enforcement. You get out of here without your big debts, and then go over. I think that's a win-win. And then those that do move over have that level of language, because as you're aware, just a formalized classroom in language is not necessarily going to pick up the contextual nuances. The interview I did with Kay Bueno, I couldn't remember if I did that was the one with that, or with La Semana. And I thought, well, this doesn't work, and I happened to run into Tina Pena, and she said, yes, I've talked to them about that. You know, she said, I know what you were trying to say, and this is how it came out. She said, I talked to them about it. People like Tina, I would like to have her verifying and say, okay, I think this person is ready to work with that. Those that have a real skill at it, and at the time that they do them, I think they should also be required to videotape or audio tape all of it, so it can be played back to someone else that wants to question it and say, well, that's not the right words. The multicultural, multi-language is going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
What are the qualifications to be a sheriff's deputy compared to the qualifications to be a Tulsa police officer?
Well, Tulsa Police right now, I believe, is a bachelor's degree. While I was out of the country, that wavered back and forth because they were having trouble recruiting what they wanted here locally for the price they wanted to pay. Right now, I believe it's 60 hours for the sheriff's office. If you go into as a detention officer, it's a high school level. It was set where they had 60 hours and they could move up to a deputy. But then here came the problem with Lands. Lands decided in certain cases he would waive the education requirement, allowed some of them to move without the 60 hours up into deputy. So right now there's not really a firm requirement.
Kind of like question you were asking before. You said you go out and like try to recruit Tulsa Achieves people in TCC who already have that language skill. So, and you talked about you provide classes for your employees. Mm-hmm. So language takes a long time to learn, and there's a lot to it. So like, one class isn't going to help necessarily someone who's never spoken another language. So would you actively try and recruit more bilingual people in whatever language and then provide classes for them that would enhance their vocabulary for the situations, or would you just be providing classes for your non-bilingual staff?
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little confused on that. I don't hear that well.
Sorry. So would you actively be trying to recruit already bilingual people?
Absolutely.
And provide them training for those situations for like the vocabulary, because it does differ from classes, or would like formal, college education, or would you be trying to provide those classes that would teach more language to your monolingual staff? Does that make sense?
It does, and my thought on that is do both. That's something, when you bring in those that speak or are bilingual almost by nature, that's going to take a while by the time that you go from high school to college and they're ready, they've reached the age and they're ready to go. So in the meantime, you have the block that's there, so you have to deal with what you also have that's there. So work with them as much as you can on that, but try to also build in safeguards, like with the tape recording, are all questions, not statements, so that it works in there. And then have Miss Shimmy, she's on call 24 hours a day from up to the law enforcement around here whenever they have an issue. so that you can go out and work with the Arabic speakers. And a lot of this is just community outreach. How do we make this work? Find out what your issues are. Where do we make our connections? I'm not sure I can give you much better answer than that.
What are your thoughts on the current, just in general, the current size of the Tulsa police force?
I'm sorry?
What are your thoughts on the current size of the Tulsa police force?
Okay, well, I'm dealing with the sheriff's office, but the police force, I attended a thing there also. I can't remember the guy's name, the world came and explained that Vision 2000. And it was talking about, okay, we want extra funding to bring in 80 new officers, or 180, or whatever that number was. Yeah, but, and they said that's in addition to our empty ones. It looks like even once you add that number on top of the existing number, no matter how you're cutting, it's the same number when you come out on the sum. I don't know what the actual number of the police department is right now. I think they're down like almost 100 officers. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Judge George would be the better one to ask that.
This might be a silly question, but you talked a little bit about the jurisdiction of the police department versus the sheriff's office. So how does that work, and how do you see that looking?
You mean, how does it not work?
How's it supposed to work?
Okay. Now we're getting into the kind of things you're going to what did you just say? In Oklahoma, all law enforcement officers are actually commissioned by the state. So I have, even your campus officers at TCC, they carry a state commission that can arrest anywhere in the state. So we can, it's not like I can't arrest outside Tulsa County. I can arrest in Oklahoma County or any place where there's a crime that violates state law. By practice, what we have always tried to do is, like Broken Arrow has its police department, and you have Tulsa, and you have Owasso, and you have Bigsby, and you don't cross into somebody else's jurisdiction without coordinating with them. You don't just go driving around through somebody else's jurisdiction and writing tickets or making a drug bust. That has been one of the problems that is repeated that led us to the Bates issue, is lack of coordination, between the agencies. With me, that's not going to happen anymore. I don't like seeing. I've heard the official view is that our deputies, when they're driving through the city, if they see a traffic violation, then they're free to stop. If it's a dangerous violation, okay. But then I drive and I see a deputy's car parked alongside Riverside and he's working radar. Sorry, dude, that's not in the county. That's inside the city limits. Let's move them out. So there needs to be a clear delineation. And a lot of that has also caused some real rift between the sheriff's department and the local police departments. So that's going to take some coalition building between the sheriff and the individual chiefs. When you ask the chief's department, the chiefs of the police department, how can we support you? How do we work this? And what's going to be our work things? How could you go? Glad you asked that question.
That was helpful.
Because the duties and responsibilities of the sheriff's office were established in 1907. They have not changed. What made sense in 1907 doesn't necessarily make sense 109 years later, or whatever it is. My favorite on that is that the sheriff is responsible for quelling riots within the county. I can't remember what a quail is. I can see me, here's Chuck Jordan, and he's got a big seal disturbance, and he's got his specially trained team out there, and I walk up and say, Chuck, get out of the way, I'm taking over. You know how well that's going to work? It's not going to happen. We need to take a reflection on it. We need to adjust what's the roles and duties. A lot of that needs to be scaled back. It has to change with times. So a lot of that's just going to be in reviewing, making agreements between the different cities, what's our limits,